All right, we are live. This is a very special episode for the Deconstruction Podcast. We hit a milestone that I don't know how accurate this is, but 8% of podcasts in the world reach, and that's recording our 50th episode. So, welcome to episode 50. And to mark this special occasion, we decided to bring on one of our biggest inspirations in the podcast, in the media game, a mentor, the GOAT himself, Manny Neves.
Thanks, guys.
Hi.
Happy 50th, man. You guys are almost as old as I am.
We're
You're
about
right, though, Costa. You're
950
you're
away from
100%
you.
right. Not that many podcasts make it to this far. Seriously,
Yeah,
they barely get out of the
I know.
10 to 10 mark, right? So you
Yeah.
guys getting to 50, that's a big thing.
I
Thank
actually
you.
thought it was even less than 8% as I was like quickly doing some research, but yeah.
Wow.
People, you know how much work it is. You guys know exactly how much work it is. It's a lot of work. Just that people think, oh, you're just rambling, you're just talking. No, man. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that probably spends more time behind the scenes than you actually do recording, trying to figure stuff out. Right?
For sure, yeah.
It takes time. It takes a lot of hard work, and then you get the following. People pay attention. So good on you guys reaching 50, and then hopefully reach 100 soon, right?
Oh
In
yeah.
2026.
That's
Yeah,
it.
and then we're gonna bring you back for the 100th episode as well.
Bring it back all you want, man. I'll come back anytime. We'll talk construction. We'll talk all kinds of stuff. We'll talk what's going on. I kind of missed it. I haven't recorded in going on 6 months now. I haven't recorded. You believe that? It's been like, I almost feel like I'm in AA or something like that. Like it's just making, I'm waiting for something. Like what's going on? But yeah, no, the truth of the matter is that TCL will be back in January. I just got the
Okay.
green light yesterday and I was like, okay, all right, great, fine. Thank you very much. This is great. So now we're looking to start recording again mid-January, get right back into the studio. It will feel weird, but it's going to feel like riding a bike. You just get right back into it and
Yeah.
just start doing it, right?
100%.
So see who I can piss off this week, kind of idea. Right?
So
Love
you
it.
guys heard it here. You guys heard it here on the Deconstruction Podcast. Breaking news: TCL's coming back, January, baby.
It's going to happen in 2026. But I will also tell you guys, and you guys will be the first to know, 2026 will be the last year of TCL.
Wow.
I will let you guys know
Some
that right
breaking
now.
news.
So that's just, it's kind of ironic that 6 months off, get back into it in January. And by the end of the year, TCL will be history, right? And it's not that I'm
Officially
leaving
history.
construction.
Never say
I'm
never.
leaving TCL. Like it's done. I've got my magic number, how many shows I want to do. And then I still got, there's like maybe 20,000 hamsters spinning a wheel right now with ideas, and all of them are all relevant to construction. So it's not that I'm leaving construction per se. I'm just leaving the podcast per se. I'll hit
And
my
this isn't
number.
one of those like you're rebranding to something else. You're like
Yeah.
done with the
Yeah.
mic.
Yeah, that's what it is. It won't be me doing shows. Mind you, I've pitched 2 new show ideas that are podcasts that are more geared towards, I guess, the masculine tradesperson and having a little bit more respect. Me personally, I don't, listen, I'm a guy. You guys are guys. Yeah, you guys are parents. You guys are fathers, right? And I just find that it's kind of strange the last 10, maybe 20 years, men haven't been men. I want men to be men. So it's like, I'm not saying that you got to go and just beat something up or punch something or something like that. I'm not saying that. I think I pitched an idea to a couple of people that I know, and I said, I want to talk about this stuff. And they were just like, yeah, I want to be a part of that. So then we want to talk about stuff that we feel are for men and just have it. And I'm basically just calling it gentlemen. That's what I'm calling it. So it's like, let's go back to being gentlemen and what that really entails. And that includes dressing a certain way, acting a certain way, being proper, being chivalrous, like all that stuff. And I was like, I think we're missing that. I think we're totally missing that in
Totally
today's
agree.
world, especially in Canada.
100%.
I'd agree with that.
So that's one of the wheels that are being spun by this hamster, gerbil, whatever it is you want to talk about. But that's the thing about me. The wheels keep on spinning. Like it's just, I'll have some craziness. I'll send out a text and I was like, listen, I was just going for a walk and this kind of just sparked in my head. What do you think? And then you get either people going, that's pretty cool. You get people going, you're going to get in trouble, or you get people going, let's do it. Right. Or maybe you get all three of them at the same time.
But how crazy is that too? You're talking about, last 10, 20 years. How crazy is that you want to put on an idea, you have something you want to say, and it's like, oh, you can get in trouble. It's like, why? It's like, man, we're just talking. You know what I mean?
But John, like, don't you remember maybe being in your late teens, early 20s, and you would propose a similar idea, and maybe the thought of someone saying you're going to get in trouble was never expressed, but maybe an eyebrow was raised, and that was that version of maybe that's a crazy idea. And just today, people are being verbal with that. Maybe that's a crazy idea, and you shouldn't. And I'm like,
Yeah. But you
who's
know
the
what, Manny?
police?
But you know what, Manny? You know what, man? I'm gonna push back on that because look, you know, working at, you know, for a big union company, you know, really good pay, you know, good hours, good benefits, good pension. You know, when I left with not one client, you know, just bought a truck, branded a truck, put the tools inside, outfitted it, you know, everybody thought I was crazy too. And then you fast forward almost 20 years and you know, those same people are like, "Oh, you're lucky you have a company." It's like, "Wait a minute. When I, you know, put everything on the line, you know, you guys thought I was crazy, right?" So that's what I say to the ideas, or when somebody wants to voice their opinion, how can you say they're crazy, right? What do you know about their life experiences,
You can
right?
say it, you can hear it. It doesn't mean you have to listen.
Yeah, no, I get it, but it's like, you know, getting back to, you know, I can't believe we've come to a point where when you say something, and again, without being, you know, like without physically wanting to harm somebody, but just by saying something, just by saying, you know, whatever it may be, and everybody knows what we're talking about, you can get in trouble, right? Like this still to me baffles me. I don't understand it. I don't think I'll ever understand it. You know, I got a lot of people that look at me and they say, "Oh, come on, you know, if you say this and this to these and these people, like you're telling me you shouldn't get in trouble." It's like, no, man. Like, why would I get in trouble? You see what I'm saying? Why? Like, you're just it. This is free speech. It's supposed to be a democracy. It's supposed to be, you know, so many things.
It's
And
not free and it's not a democracy and it's not any of that shit. And listen, the person who's saying that you're crazy and you shouldn't really say that in today's day and time and whatever, they have the right to say that. But what's that going to do? Like, listen, if you tell me not to jump in the pool, what do you think I'm going to do?
yeah, that's yeah.
If I
That's been
say
me
a
my
certain
whole
word that
life.
offends you, I'm going to just like, I'm going to say the word again. I might even be playful. And, you know, like you'll get someone just say, listen, you shouldn't really say that. And if you've kind of put an expletive in front of that word or whatever, then you'll just change the expletive to maybe frig and then still keep the word. Because that's how foolish I think someone is being by saying you can't say that one word. And I'm like, if you're offended, that's your problem. It's not mine.
Yeah, yeah. No,
I
I
don't even know
agree.
how we got on there, but that's just how it is.
I agree. What's that saying? What's that saying? You know, getting back to what you were talking about, you know, men being men. It's like good times create weak
Yeah.
men. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Weak men create hard times, right?
Yeah.
So
We
yeah,
we need men to come back to being men. We need women to come back and being women. And we just need family. We just need all this stuff. This listen, we gave the other version a try and it's not working. I don't care. Stevie Wonder can see that it's not working. It's not working. Right? So it's like let's go back to what was working because it was working well. So let's just see what happens. And then maybe all three of us will, you know, even Charlie included, everybody, we'll all be sharing the same jail cell and just talking Cards of Soze at that point. I don't know. Like,
Oh my gosh.
that's why we love you, buddy. No better person to bring on
That's
for the
it.
50th episode.
Okay,
what do you
look,
guys want to talk about?
before we get into our topics here, as always, this podcast brought to you by Jobtable, the simplest way to grow and manage your construction business. I just want to quickly share a review that came in. So this is from
I didn't write it. No.
Andrew
Okay.
Spano. He's an electrical contractor from Mississauga. Absolutely love Jobtable. This app has changed the game for me, making quotes and invoices very easy to make and looking extremely professional. Their support is 24/7 and they're always there with any questions you have when you start off. Thanks, Jobtable.
Nice.
And yeah, thank you
Thank you, Andrew.
to Angelo for that.
Andrew.
Or Andrew.
Andrew.
Sorry.
Andrew Spano.
Yes, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So, all right, couple topics on the agenda today. We're going to talk about the labor reality check. So, what 2025 taught us and what we're actually noticing on the field. We're talking some mistakes and missed signals. So, business lessons a construction owner can't ignore after 2025. And we're going to make some predictions about what the world of construction holds for the new year and beyond. So let's get into it, right? First
Mhm.
topic with this labor reality check. We touched on this actually the last time you were on, Manny. But this is just a topic that keeps coming up in discussions. It keeps coming up in the news and in headlines. So on one hand, we have government statistics that are telling us there's high vacancy rates in construction. We have an
It's a
aging
lie. It's bullshit.
workforce that's set to retire. We have no young people
That's
coming into the
bullshit
trades.
too. Yeah.
And at the same time, you're seeing headlines on what the impacts of these shortages are having on the economy. What are they saying? Increased project times because of labor shortages. It's taking longer um, to complete projects. There's high demand in workers, which is driving up construction prices. The labor shortage, it's hindering the ability to build homes, which is fueling the housing crisis. Now, I don't know about you, Manny, but when I hear
I
these,
just checked all the bullshit. Like every single one of those hit
yes,
bullshit, man.
and this is what I'm saying. So when I hear these narratives and the language that's used to describe these impacts, like I hear a very convenient scapegoat for
Yeah.
the incompetent politicians and
Yeah.
government officials to push blame to. And what better industry to push the blame than construction, which is, one of the biggest industries in Canada as a share of our GDP. It's a blue collar industry
It
where, let's
keeps this
face it,
country going.
it keeps it going. But
Yeah.
it's an industry where, let's face it, it's blue collar. There's a lot of people that aren't gonna fight back and take a stand, and the ones who could are unions, which are in bed with the same politicians and governments pushing these narratives in the first place. So here we are. So let's open it up there.
So here's two things. Here's the bare bones that I will say about all of that you just kind of shared, where the people coming in are asking for too much money, and the people that are saying that they're going to leave can't because they can't afford to retire. That's how I generally look at it. And let me further explain that. I think that someone that's coming into this industry is already asking for more than their age. I've said this several times on the show. You're already in a bad spot for asking that amount, right? And I think what's happening now, the start of 2025, everybody was rolling in with a 25-year-old dick and asking for 35 bucks an hour. And I'm like, according to the rings on your dick, you're not worth 35. I should only be paying you 25, right? But now at the end of the year, they're realizing that they're only worth 25. And now they're looking for work, right? Now on the flip side, you get the older guys, and I hate it. I hate personally seeing old guys on job sites swinging the hammer, right? Because the truth of the matter is they can't retire. Construction, as much as it's a blue collar work, they can't rely on this country's government and their retirement plan, CPP, and all that pension. They can't do that. They have to have their own nest egg. So if that means that if they're 70 years old and they know that statistically they're probably going to live to maybe 80 years old, they don't have enough wealth to survive that decade. So they have to continue swinging the hammer. That's what I hate. So we've got two disjointed parameters coming in and going out. And how do we solve both of those? The young, ego set aside the door. And I think it's great that this economic bullshit that's going on right now, that's been designed, is happening because now they're getting a taste of it. They're getting a taste of roughness, and they have to accept that I can't be asking for 35 because I won't get a job. I should be asking for 25 and prove myself and contribute to that business and prove that I can do more work and offer more skills. And then I'll work my way, hopefully by the end of the year, to 35, right? And then on the older side, they maybe made some bad decisions, and that's why they don't have that nest egg. But if you are an older trade and you're relying on this government, then you're going to be an older homeless trade. That's just the truth of it. I don't want to say that that's going to happen to people, but that's what's going to happen, right? And that's what's scary on both ends. And then in the middle, you've got the bulk of the industry because that's who's actually working. You've got those 30 to say maybe 50-year-olds, right? That number is probably the fastest one that's actually shrinking because I still believe that number is the one that's leaving the industry. That's the big problem here. We got to make construction cool again. We've got to make it interesting again. We've got to do a bunch of stuff that we're not doing. We
That's
got
what
to
I
get
was
rid
going
of
to
the
ask you.
corruption.
Do you think your younger generation is going to start moving into trades a lot more than they have been?
No, no. I just I was having a conversation recently with a tool supplier. So I walked in and I started having a conversation, and I just shoot the shit as I always do, right? And he's got a 25-year-old son. and he's working there in the back, right? So he's just, he's doing his job and everything like that. But he hates it. He hates being there. He hates making, I think he's actually making like $25 an hour or something like that. So it's like that whole age thing. We laughed about that. But he keeps telling his dad, I need to be making double, if not triple, because I need to be taking home 200K. And I'm like, you're a 25-year-old and you think that you need to be, and I go, well, let me guess. Let me just take a stab at this. He needs certain streaming services. He needs to be able to go on an Uber. He needs to be ordering Uber foods. He needs to be like, where you know where I'm going. He needs to have all these subscriptions. Otherwise, he's out of the club of his friends regarding subscriptions. So when they go out once or twice or even more than that, and they want to go and dine, and then they want to drink, and then they want to take an Uber, and I'm like, think about that. Dude, I just made my coffee on my little Mako thing, right? I grind the beans and I just do it. And the beans were actually a gift from somebody I came into the studio, and I'm like, I'm going to use these beans. That's cheaper than going to stupid anybody and ordering your latte. But these kids, they look at it like, no, I need to be making 200K. 200K back in my high school days, I was like, we were all trying to strive and make 100K. And that was you're wealthy. And now these kids today have this mindset where they need to be making 200K in 2025. That is the dumbest mindset ever. I would be doing an MRI of their brain to find out what parts are fucking failing, because it seems like all of it is failing. You can't be thinking I need to be making 200K at 25 years old. No way.
Everybody's trying to do keep up with the Kardashians, and also too, what I noticed with a lot of these young people too is everybody thinks there's like this get rich quick scheme going on, right? It was the same when Bitcoin. It was the same with any stocks. Everybody thinks that you're going to buy this
construction ADD.
Yeah, it's like guys, man, like you look at any wealthy person, you look at the people in the trades, you look at builders, you look at any industry, you look at the people on Wall Street. It doesn't matter, right? It's having a mindset to play the long game, right? It's like I tell everybody, you got to crawl before you walk, you got to walk before you run. You know what I mean? People literally want to come out of the womb and go straight to running. And listen, man, like, you're talking less than even 0.5% of people will ever hit that, they bought at this time and they sold at this time and they made astronomical amounts of money and they could do whatever they want. Or, like you said, 25-year-old, overnight they become a millionaire, or, they're making X amount. It's not realistic. Like, I don't know what it is. People need
to. But they believe that they could be the one who makes it realistic. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way.
No,
you can ask anybody. And also, I kind of get a little upset with the wealthy people that have made it, because they make it sound as if it's so easy to make it. And I'm like, why don't you guys talk about the truths, man? Like the shit that you had to eat to get to this point. Now, you want to compare it to the Kardashians. There ain't enough filler in the construction industry to compare to the Kardashians, right? And plus, they all slept their way to their position. So if you want to sleep your way to that kind of wealth, then go ahead. And that's why we see an increase in OnlyFans, right? But I mean, do you really want that? Like that, do you want to? I'm sure there's a dozen or so, maybe even hundreds of contractors out there that could easily be playing the playgirl mentality, having OnlyFans page. I'm talking about men. Right? I bet you any money they could be doing all their shit and then showing off and making all kinds of stuff. But they're going to be empty in years. You know what I mean? They're going to be empty and unfulfilled. That's what's going to be scary.
And I think that's what it comes down to. It's like, you said it too, right? It's like the wealthy people, like, tell them how hard it was, right? Because look, I even remember, the first time Trump was running for presidency, right? And I even remember, everybody's like, oh, the guy claimed bankruptcy like 5 times. It's like, yeah, every single wealthy person that's in the billions of dollars, they've had companies that go down. You know what I mean? Yeah. They've tried 100 different ways. I think I was reading an article on the Dyson guy, right? The guy who invented
how many
Dyson.
Times he failed?
574 times. You know what I mean? Until he got it right. So it's like, this is what people have to understand, right? It's like me, Costa, and Charlie, we talk about this all the time. It's like there's no option for failure. There is no plan Bs. You set your plan and you fucking go. And guess what? There's going to be doors slammed in your face. You're going to be thrown out of places. You're going to be called a kook. You're going to be told it will never happen. You're going to be told this. You're going to be told that. And then guess what? There is no better feeling once you reach that target and you look back at everybody, and that's why I was saying too at the beginning of this episode, you know, the one that gets me all the time where, you know, I was just, you know, having a boys' Christmas party last Friday, and we were just like all joking around. A couple of my buddies, you know, they work for the TTC. A couple guys do this. A couple business owners, and you know, they're all hacking, and it's like, yeah, it must be easy, 'cause, you know, you guys are business owners, right? It's like, yeah, you guys got it, and it's like easy. Like, we're lucky. You know what I mean? It's like, buddy, do you know how much fucking shit I've had to eat to get
Worrying about if you got enough payroll,
That's what I'm
worrying
saying.
about if you can cover the next bill because this was a lean month, worrying about a
Yeah.
bunch. And that's where I go to the younger generation coming into the industry, that if they actually spent a moment or two to think about the owner of that business that's running and operating and doing sales and taking care of all the back end before they start questioning on how much they want to be asking for an hourly wage, they might actually go in there with a fair hourly wage, understanding where the potential is with this business instead of just dismissing it and going, give me 35. You know what I mean? And I'm
Manny,
like, that's a wrong move, man.
Manny, I started in the trade. I told them, right? Because I remember too, it was like the middle of the week. I'm like, don't pay me nothing. Let
Yeah.
me try it out. Let me try it out to the end of the week. And I
But
remember
when's the last time that you heard a young person coming into the industry say that?
I got one. I got one.
You got
And this
one?
guy,
You're lucky.
this guy's a diamond in the rough. And I don't want to say too much, but this kid is a gem. He's a diamond in the rough. And believe me, he comes from a family that he doesn't need to be working. Put it that way. And what I see from him, it's like, buddy, that's like, and I told him, I said, I hope like you tell, you know, your teachers, you tell everybody, they need to be looking at people like you. You know what I mean? They need to be creating more of you, because the reality is too, is that, you know, just like you said, the person's coming in, he's asking for, I start at $8.25.
I mean, I don't know if I shared it, but I started my first job as a busboy at 325, man.
Yeah.
Like $3.25. Like
I'm
that's
talking
what
my apprenticeship. So I got guys coming to me now. It's like, I want to start off at 23 an hour. It's like, holy, you know, like, and I
So, I
get
mean,
it.
like,
Look,
back
I
to-
get
back-
people are going to say it, you know, yeah, but when you started compared to, you know, the price of things today. No, I get it, man. I get it. But
I
at
know,
the
but it's
same
the
time,
value of fulfillment.
you're
Like, they don't
fresh.
understand that if you want to run and leap and get to where I am, get where I am right now, and you want to do it in 2 years instead of the 10 years that it took me, you don't understand the lessons that you're going to miss if you don't take that time to appreciate the fulfillment of getting to this point.
And
Right?
people don't understand in the trades, you're being paid to essentially go to school. This is not
Basically, you
university.
learn every day.
University, yes. University, you got to pay to go to university. And then in order to afford university, whether your parents are helping you or whatever, you have to get a part-time job, but you have, you know, you have exams, you have this, you have that. So like the days are long. You're going to work to learn, to better yourself, to give yourself a career. So those people that are coming in fresh, that like you said, I want 25, I want 35 an hour. Yeah, it's you know, I'm sorry, it's you know, it gets back to like maybe the times have been way too good to a point that there's no reality. Like we were just talking about it like a couple of weeks ago too. It's like I remember I would never talk back to my boss. Why? Because you were scared to lose your job, and not scared in a bad way. It was just like there was this respect thing. You see what I'm saying? There was this respect. We used to come into the shop at 5:45. We used to load the trucks. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
That's
so
part of the job. That's
5:45,
what you were supposed to
load
be
the trucks, load
Yeah.
the trucks, do this, do that, drive to the job site. You know, so we were going to the shop first to do all that, drive to the job site. So 5:45, I was at the shop. You know, I would get to site by like 7:15. Guess when I started getting paid? 7 or 7:15.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You know what I mean? That's the way it used to be. And then you left the site at 3 or 4, 5 o'clock. You drove. That's when you stopped.
See,
getting
but I
paid.
also blame the business owners for allowing that. Right? So you've got to like, if you feel it in your gut that something is off because they said or acted a certain way at the very beginning when you meet them, you speak up. You just say, no, that's not how this shit works here. Right? So if they've got a problem with it, then you've already just solved your problem. Go. See you later. Bye.
No,
I
but
will
that's
go interview somebody else.
But I think. See, this is it's like the pendulum, right? So I look at it with like, you know, the people that I employ, and it's like, look, I was an employee once upon a time too, so I get it, right? I wouldn't do that to my guys. I didn't like that before. I would waste 3 hours out of my day not getting paid, this, that, and the other thing. So you want to give a little bit. You've been there, right? So it's like you want that form of respect to give back to the guys as well. But just like you said, I feel like the pendulum is now going to a point, right? And you see it even with, the laws and the governments and like MOL and just everything, where it's like the pendulum has swung so far to a point where it's like, no matter if you're a good employer or a shit employer, you're just a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like you are taking advantage of people. And it's like, hold on, we built something.
It's been a while since I've been on a bigger construction site, but from what I'm gathering, people reaching out to me and telling me, there isn't a lot of love for the workers, for the worker bees, right? Like they're just coming in and their numbers. That's why we've said it. You guys have probably said it on your show. I've said it on my show so many times that if they were to get hurt or, God forbid, lose their life, they're replaced the very next day, if not by the end of that same day, right? So it's like they have this mentality, well, they don't care about me, so I'm not going to care about them. But somebody's got to give at some point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I mean, back to Costa's point about what's really going on. I fault the industry for not having the construction starts. But what is the reason why we don't have the construction starts? We don't have the construction starts because developers will make more money by not starting. They own property, they have the logistics to get the project going and starting, but the moment they do that, the development fees start kicking in, and then the municipalities start taking those pieces of the pie. So they're like, well, hang on a sec. If I sit on this for another year, I'm not going to get hit with all these fees. So I'm going to sit on this for another year. So who's really to blame there? Municipalities and development fees. That 1/3 shit needs to be completely gone. And then you will see a rash of construction starts. Then you will see we need everybody to come back, all hands on deck. Skilled people that are worth it.
And right? I think it was you that brought it up our last episode. I could be wrong. But also, too, the type of developments, right? Like all these condos went up. We have a condo crash happening, right? But at the same time, it's like, how many 400 square foot condos can you put up? How many people are going to buy those? Who's approving this?
What I don't like about all that, who's approving it? It's a big wad of money that's approving it. So what I don't like is that you can watch these things be put together. Where was I? I was walking somewhere recently, and I was walking by, and I noticed that these new condos, there was about 6 or 7 of them went up. I kid you not, less than 5 years, I'm seeing balconies being rebuilt. Like jackhammering, reconcrete, resurfacing, less than 5 years. These are brand new units, and they're being designed that way because their ecosystem is designed in a certain way. Like, we need to not work and do such an amazing job so then we can give all these other contracts in the future work. That's not how you build things. I mean, I recently read today, there's a reason why when you watch movies and then you're situated in Africa and that classic Mercedes is always there, it's been running for 2 million miles. It's because they built the cars differently. Today they're building cars we've been talking about this in construction, that all the appliances don't last. Cars don't last. Everything is all, get rid of it within 5 years. So now they're doing it in construction. And that's the worst thing you can do. So you start building a condo unit, you've got the deficiencies that are insane, but they're designed to be there because they need to give the service people work. And I'm like, how about we just build new towers that last longer and people appreciate that tower when they move in there but again, you go back to people don't live in these units longer than 5 to 7 years. So they don't care if it's not perfect. They're going to be gone.
Yeah.
That's
and
scary,
I think,
right?
And I think it all comes down to as well. I think it sets a precedence in culture, right? Because let's be honest, like what drives our culture, right? It's all about money. It comes down to money, 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 and everybody.
But it's reoccurring money. This is what I don't like, right?
I know, but let's take the Japanese culture, right? You think that it's money that drives them? It's not, man. It's about the pride. It's the pride that goes behind.
I can sit for hours and watch a Japanese carpenter frame and cut and do shit and measure and mark. I saw a video recently where he was talking about a specific pencil that he uses and the chisel that he uses to sharpen that pencil. and the reason behind why he does all that stuff. And I'm like, there's a lot of respect. And then hopefully he's teaching that to a younger generation of Japanese kids or even other kids that come from abroad. But they're appreciating why instead
Yeah.
of just taking a pencil and just shoving it into a sharpener and just sharpen it, right? Like that's where you need that kind of time to get the experience to appreciate why it's taking this long,
But
right?
would you say that has to do with the culture that we built? Because
Yeah,
again, like, you go back, and I bring up Japanese just because I respect that culture, like,
I love
to a
Japan. I
very,
love everything about Japan.
to a very high regard. It's like, from the way, their food, to the way they construct, to the way they, you look at their streets, there's no garbage cans, but there's no litter. They come out in the morning, everybody's not only cleaning the front of their house, they're cleaning the sidewalk that is public property, right? There's a,
What do we get here in North America? You get kids who just throw shit on the ground and don't care about it.
again, it comes back to the culture, right? So I think getting back to what we were talking about, it's like I think there's a culture issue, right? And I think that's and it is an issue, whether it's here, whether it's in the U.S. It's that culture issue of like, money shouldn't just be the driving factor. It should be the pride that goes behind what you do.
But it is.
I know.
Right? It is, right? And I agree with you that it's a cultural, but I think me not being a parent, but me being a child of a parent that treated me a certain way, there's one easy lesson to take care of that culture problem. One good beating. Pick your piece of wood, pick your belt, pick your spoon, pick your whatever. One good beating will start to smarten up the culture, man.
I know.
I think a lot of the quality of stuff we're seeing is this is a deeper topic, and I don't want to get too far into it, but I think that the root of it is just the financial system that we're in. We're in a credit based system where the value of money is literally worthless, so it has no meaning. So it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care if I'm going to spend all this money and waste it on a shitty product because I know it's going to sell, and I know money is easy to come by. Whereas if money was hard, for example, backed by gold, like it was prior to 71, like the value of the currency actually means something. So when I'm building something to part ways with my gold that is valuable, I'm going to put more thought into it and make sure it lasts. Like, we don't have that. I think
Let me give you a scenario, guys. I bet you any money you probably have the answer to this already just by looking at it. Take two young tradespeople and pay one e-transfer and pay the other cash. Who do you think is going to be better at money management? It's the cash guy. I don't care what you say. Because that cash guy is going to look at the amounts that he's received for the work that he's provided, or she, and all of a sudden the e-transfer guy has got the memberships, the subscriptions, and the payouts, and just the transfers, and tap this and do that. You don't physically see the money that you're spending versus a person who physically sees the money that they're spending. There's a different mindset between those two human beings. And we're designing a culture, go back to that, of digital currency and moving money with zeros and ones, where you don't realize that I just gave that up. Unless you sit down with somebody who's going to educate you about finances and you go, look at all the expenses you've got here. Look at all the transfer fees that you got here. Look at all this shit versus the person who spent cash and paid cash. They'll know exactly what goes in their pocket and what comes out of their pocket.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Speaking of the young people too, just to go back on that, I have a bit of a different opinion on that. I think yes, if you're like 25 plus years old, like, yeah, you're still in that, like, you have that very entitled kind of upbringing at that age. Whereas, but at the end of the day, I think the market always wins, meaning reality will eventually kick in. I don't care if you want 25, $30 an hour. Eventually reality will kick in, and you have to make money. And I think I'm noticing a lot of high profile people with influence who are like really hyping up the trades in recent times. Like, I really do think, especially for high school kids, trades are becoming cool again. People like Elon Musk, like Gary Vee, Nvidia CEO, like talking about, next wave of millionaires are going to be plumbers, electricians. I think this is starting to come into young people's minds. And once combine that with like the reality kicking in, I think that's like people are going to naturally gravitate towards trades because that's just where the money is, and I
They'll
feel like
give
the
it, but
market
their
wins.
social status won't allow them to stay in it.
But that's where I feel like that it's become. I think it's coming becoming cool again
No,
for the
it is.
younger
It
I
kids.
is.
hope
It
so.
is. Look,
I
look.
think so.
It is Costa, but it is, and we've talked about that too, right? But getting back to the discussion we were just having is that the reality is we're building a society, right? It's just driven on money, and nothing comes down to, you know, leaving a mark,
But
right?
that's my
Leaving
whole
a,
point. You said it. It's coming down to money. And once reality kicks in and the bullshit cycles through, the reality is if you want to make money, you're going to work in the trades because that's where the money is.
yeah. No, 100%, 100%. But what I'm saying is we're creating a culture. We're creating a culture that people are just going to where the money is. A lot of times, you know, and we see it all the time, right? Like we see tradesmen, it's like, oh, I fucking hate what I do, but I'm just here because of the money. Well, when somebody hates what they do and they're there just because of the money, let's be honest, right? A lot of time, I'm not going to say every single time, but a lot of times it transfers into the work. You know what I mean? Because
I'd say all the time.
I'm just giving the benefit of the doubt because look, I've met a couple of guys that are like incredible at what they do, but they fucking hate what they do. You know what I mean? So I don't want to say
But they
absolutely
like the
everybody.
rat race, right? And I don't think you want to love the rat race. I think you want to love what you can do with your hands.
That's
And
what it
I
is.
didn't
Yeah.
get it. I didn't understand. I remember my first year in construction 15, 16 years ago, where I was always gravitated towards the older guys because I already knew what kind of person they were. They already hit the battles. They already experienced, whether it be 2 or 3 decades earlier or whatever, they had this knowledge that I wanted to just soak in, right? But now, like when I get on a job site, my mind is different now than it was when I first got started in construction, where you were trying to figure out the ABCs and try to get the dots all connected to do the task at hand. Right now, being an older person and gone through that so many times, you could just sit there and you're like, watch this. This is what's going to happen. And you can see it all unfold right in front of your eyes, right? And you're like, that's because of the experience that you've gone through and how you've ate shit so many times doing that, that you already know how it's going to work. That's the beauty of construction. And if you sidestep that, you're going to miss that. You won't be that older tradesperson trying to figure out, okay, well, how is this going to work? How is this going to work?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What other
Johnny,
question?
sorry, did you have a question?
No. What other? Where do you want to go?
No, no. Yeah, I was gonna say, next topic, Johnny. I want to kick this off with you. So, just reflecting back on the previous year, mistakes, missed signals. Like, what are some lessons that you think construction owners can ignore after 2025?
I think one of the biggest ones is, just don't get too comfortable. We've seen a big shift in the market, and I think a lot of people, were sitting on their hands and it hit them really hard. A lot of guys, they're slow. A lot of guys, oh, I don't know what happened. We were so busy, and we've been talking about it on our show for a while too, right? It's like you can see the shift happening, right? And I always say, like one of the people we do work for, I remember back in 2019, we were building a condo for them, and it was supposed to be condos that were sold. Now, again, these are like investment portfolios. People invest into them, you know what I mean, before they start the building, and then, there's a return on investment, everything like that. And in 2019, I remember they decided to say, no, we're not selling these. We're actually going to keep the building, and we're going to turn it into rentals. And I remember a lot of people inside the fund were basically criticizing them, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking about? Like, the condo market's booming. The condo market's booming. Like, why would you turn this into rentals? And it's always being on your A game. It's the ability to look into the future and to see the trends and to be like, wait a minute, you know what I mean? I need to be like a chameleon, because if something happens, I need to be able to shift quickly. And sure enough, people call them crazy. And you look at it today, and this is what they're doing with all their portfolios.
That was a better move.
And they saw it years in advance of, anybody that I can say I talk to in the industry. So the biggest thing I saw in 2025, talking to, a lot of people that, are new users of Jobtable, or, old users or just friends in the industry, is a lot of people got they got sideblinded. Like they weren't ready for this market shift and what has happened. I know a few companies that have went under, and unfortunately, they're great guys. They know what they're doing, but it's just they were in a specific market. They weren't ready to shift, and by the time the shift happened, they were just too late. The overheads ate them up. So what I would say
I know,
is,
but that's the beauty of construction and running your own business or running the crews. You can always rebuild.
you definitely can. You definitely can. Now I would say like a couple of these were bigger companies, so what ends up happening is you're in shit. You're up shit's creek without a paddle, because now you owe suppliers a lot of money. You can't fulfill those obligations. You know what I mean? You had to shut down your doors. You defaulted. Because of the suppliers, they start putting liens. So it ruins you inside the industry. And
I know, but when I'm saying rebuild, I'm not saying like it depends on the situation. Everybody's different or whatever.
Yeah.
But like you set aside the ego again, where it's like you could still always go back to two trucks and you and another guy, and you guys could be doing smaller projects. Fine, you lost everything, but you could always rebuild. There's always a way back in if you want it. That's
if you
the
know
thing
how to
about
work, and that's the beauty about construction. You know what, man?
Yeah.
You're 100% right. If you have skill with your hands, nobody
Don't
can
throw it
fucking,
away.
nobody can
Don't throw
fucking
it
take
away,
that
man.
away from you. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I know you're gonna know exactly what I'm saying, because being myself, right? Being from a worker to starting a company, two guys in a truck, to growing to who we are today. Sometimes some of the best weeks I've had, you know what I mean, it was when it was just me and Charlie in a truck.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because you know what? We were in control. We were in control of the job. The amount of callbacks we would have when it was just me and him were fucking zero. Why? Because we made sure we were in control of absolutely everything. And the reality
Well, you
is,
knew that if you went back, you were losing money.
exactly, right? And the reality is that, as you grow as a company, as you hire more people, yes, there's a lot of things you have to let go. But the biggest takeaway, like getting back to the question, Costa, the biggest takeaway is just you can't be complacent. That's number one. Number two, with the uncertainty in the markets and everything like that, the most important thing is, as a company owner, as a construction owner, is to run as lean as possible. It's literally stop buying those trucks at these stupid
Find
rates.
out where you're hemorrhaging.
Exactly, man. You know what I mean? And you got to stop the bleeding. Stop taking like getting back to like even your analogy there, Manny. It's like stop with buying coffee all the time, like doing this, doing that. Like, you got to understand that right now is not the time to just go and splurge. Right now is the time to hammer down, right? Really learn the ins and the outs of your company, right? Because that's where a lot of people, I find, they fail as well, is not knowing what their overheads are. You know what I mean? What an hour costs, what you
But
need to
also
bring
figure
in.
out where you can maximize more profits too with what is working.
Exactly, right? So that's what I noticed is my biggest takeaway of 2025, just because, again, there's been a lot of uncertainties in the market, and I find that, the cost, you say this all the time, right? I think it was like what, since 2008, like we've been on like a tear, right? Like the economy, money's just been flowing left, right, and center, right? So a lot of these, let's just call it the tap. I am a plumber, so a lot of the taps have been turned off, and people don't understand where they're getting water from now, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Manny? What are some business lessons you think contractors can't ignore going into the
I
new
just
year?
think everybody on both sides has to have the conversation that's rattling around in their head and start vocalizing it. And when I say that is, I mean, if you're paying your employees too much, you fucking say it. You know what I mean? If you're not paying them enough, then you fucking say it as an employee, right? Like, I think that you need to start vocalizing everything instead of internalizing everything. Because, okay, fine, you want to be the last person standing because you've got a business and you've got pride and you got this ego. Yeah, well, then that business is going to fail. So you want to be truthful to your employees and go, listen, guys, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. We used to be bringing this much in. We're only bringing this much in. So I don't have enough mouths. And that's exactly what I've heard this from Jim so many times when I sat down and I talked to him about it. It's like you kind of spread it evenly to everybody. So not everybody's making a big chunk, but everybody's making a little bit to survive. And that's how you got to look at it. So it's like we saw the beginning of 2025 doing well. Then we quickly saw it turn around magically around election time. And then it just got worse. And now it's become just apocalyptic, right? And that takes us to 2026. And what's, like you guys have heard, I've gotten so many calls from people saying I'm folding up. And I hate hearing that, right? Is it dead and buried and gone forever, your business? It's up to you. How much do you love it? Do you want to bring it back? Do you want to revive it? It's up to you, right? But you got to survive and you got to provide. And that's why I think I said on the last show where I was just saying, you got to still focus on what's important for you and your loved ones, right? And I get it. You got employees and you got their mouths to feed and they've got their bills and they got all that shit too. But so do you. And you can't lose your entire business trying to pretend that nothing's really going on. You can't do that. So for 2026, the outlook's the same, guys. Like, that's just a reality. But lately, I've been talking to a lot of people, and the conversation's been kind of changing, where I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic that 2026 will be the beginning of the turning year, right? I think we won't see heydays until 27, but I think we're going to see some spikes in 26. And that's really going to be in due in part if you're honest and truthful to yourself and to your business and to your employees and to your family. If you just have the hard conversations, you're going to have a pretty good 26 and you're going to have an amazing 27. That's how I'm looking at it, right? Because what you learn from people that have survived far worse than this, they keep pushing. There's always a way in through. There's always a way to keep on moving forward and being profitable. There's always a way. But if you keep on thinking about all the ways that are not, how the fuck are you going to figure out the ways to actually do it?
Yeah.
Right? Everybody right now is just worried. And it's the holidays, right? I get it. It's the holidays and everyone's just panicking about all this and that and all this. Everyone's shutting down. Everyone's trying to get their work done or whatever project's done before the holiday break, give it off to the clients. And then I think right now you should be focused on the new year and trying to figure out what you're going to roll out with.
That's kind of similar to kind of what I was thinking. So I think more contractors and just entrepreneurs in general, they have to start thinking bigger. Like, I speak to way too many people who are just thinking too small, too short-sighted. I think people forget how truly powerful the mind is and the impact that the thoughts consuming your mind have on your life and in your business. Like, especially this time of the year, right? I speak to a lot of people who, relating it to Jobtable, right? Who acknowledge that they need to streamline their processes, they're doing things inefficiently, but have that mentality of like, oh, I'm still too small. When I grow and get more business, I'll look at software. But to me, this is completely backwards, right? Back to mentality and your intentionality of things. Like, if you have that mindset of like you're small, you're not ready yet, then you're still going to operate like a small company, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to just continue being a small company. Like, your outcomes in business are correlated to your actions. So if you're playing and operating small, you're just going to continue being small. Like, nothing is going to magically happen where you're going to wake up one day and just going to start growing out of nowhere. Like, you have to make those changes yourself.
Or what about the one, the best one I like is, oh, you know what? It's a little bit slow right now. When things pick up, then I'll look at streamlining my business. It's like, what? So when you get busy, you want to change all your processes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's very.
So it's a little bit slow. So you want to be a part of everybody else that's a little bit slow.
Yeah.
Or you want to try to figure out how you can be a little more efficient and move faster in a crowd of people that are moving slow.
When you got more time on your hands, you know what I mean? Like it's hilarious because you talk to everybody around North America, right? And you can see just by talking to certain people that you've never met before, you can definitely tell the go-getters. You can tell the people that it's like, oh, buddy, like you can tell this guy's going for it. You know what I mean? And then you can tell the other people that are struggling, and kind of like their remarks are, you can kind of see it painted where this is why you're struggling. You know what I mean? This is exactly why you're struggling. Getting back to what Costa said, there's no crystal ball, right? It's like the same people that complain. It's like, oh, I'm overweight, oh, my knees hurt, all this. It's like, oh, why don't you go for a walk? You know what I mean? Oh, because my knees hurt, right? And it's like, okay, so why don't you eat better? It's like, oh, because when I eat that, it's like, so what do you want? You just want to go to the doctor, they're going to give you a pill, and magically, you're going to lose weight and your joints are going to stop hurting, and all of a sudden you're going to be, 100%. It's like, you got to do something. Nobody's going to do it for you. You're not
They
going to
have those
wake up.
pills, right? I think the bulk of the industry right now is too hard pressed focus on lessons from the past and not understanding that there's a whole new bunch of lessons for the future.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Stop
getting back.
looking. The shit is done. It is done. Like, okay, fine. You bought a really expensive truck. Fine. You bought too many fucking tools. Fine. Whatever. That shit is done. So it's done. If you can sell some of those tools, or if you could get rid of that lease, or do it. If you can do that, figure it out and do that. But start figuring out. That's why I think right now, it being, what is it, today's date? The 17th, 18th, or whatever, December. You should be focusing on January 2. What the fuck is happening January 2?
Yeah.
Right?
What are you doing
And
at the
then
end of
figure out what's
January?
going to happen January 2, 3, 4, and then
Yeah.
take you into February. Right?
Yeah.
So start figuring out, I got new lessons ahead of me. I need to learn these lessons. I need to embrace them, and I need to maximize them. So where do we save? If that means that I'm not doing another coffee run and I'm going to put a machine on site instead and take care of everybody that way, and I just save myself $100 a week, then you're saving yourself $100 a week. And then move on to the next $100 that you can save, and that's how you're going to grow. That's how I've seen old guys do it, man.
Oh, and you know what? Getting back to those old guys, that's why you look at the wealth that they've created, and you look at the newer generation, and getting back to the beginning of our conversation of this podcast, and it's like you look at what it like everything is a facade, but then you look at some of these older generation guys that have built enormous amounts of wealth, and you'll never tell. You see what I'm saying? So you'll
Yeah.
get the new guy that walks in, Gucci head to toe, $50,000 watch on his wrist, driving that brand new truck, doing this, doing that. And then you got the guy that comes in, and he can be probably one of the biggest developers like around, and you will never tell, not even from the car he drives, not from, the watch he has on his wrist, like nothing. You know what I mean? And it comes down to simplicity. And you're right. You start with that $100. Once you save that $100, how can you save the other $100? And the problem is a lot of people want to live behind the facade.
Well, that's where it goes back to, I was saying earlier, the 25-year-old wants to be making 200K, but the thing is, that's not what you should be going for. The truth is, like, I don't know why this thought came in my head. I still remember my mom's dad, when I was a kid, he'd make his own cigarettes. He'd roll, the tobacco and the paper,
Yeah.
and he'd make it, and he had the press and everything like that. And I'm like, I would love to see a young guy on a job site rolling their own cigarettes, making their own cigarettes on a job site, because I think that that's a valuable lesson to be shared, right? And you guys can dig deep into that, whoever's listening and all this other shit. My point is, like, you gotta figure out where the efficiencies are. These are the hardest lessons that you need to learn. If you don't learn something new every single day and figure out how to move your business forward positively every single day, then you're going to be left behind. Then you're going to be another business that's just going to be folding up shop and moving on, which is not what you really want to do. You didn't get into this to fold up shop. You got into this to fucking build something. That's why you can always rebuild. You can rebuild Tuesday right after a horrible Monday.
Yeah, that's
do it.
Great.
And back to, I love your quotes on Instagram, by the way, Manny. Like, I don't know where you.
They're not mine. I steal that shit. Sometimes I change.
Okay.
But I steal that shit. Yeah. Did you like today's?
I don't know. I remember, I think it was a few days ago, but kind of related to this about like intentionality, right? Back to like what I was saying, this analogy that I got from a friend of mine. It's like we're all operating on the same frequency, the same hours, same energy out there. It's like, how are you spending your time, right? For example, are you spending your workday, like let's use like a retail store as an example, right? You're gonna spend your 8 hours, 10 hours working day. Are you trying to build a convenience store? Respect to all convenience stores. Are you spending that same 10 hours a day trying to build a Walmart? It's the same hours, same frequency. It's just like, what's in your head? Like, what are your actions dictating? So it's like, utilize your time more productively. Like, back to like thinking bigger, like stopping short-sighted, and like You use the power
You
that's in
got a good
between our
point there,
ears.
Costa. I was just thinking, like, as a contractor and as an entrepreneur, as a tradesperson, like, let's say you were to build a convenience store. How convenient will that store be? Because the majority of convenience stores, they are at face value convenient. Like, you walk in, you know where you have to go to get what you want to get, right? But some of them have some roadblocks on trying to get to certain things that are supposed to be convenient. So it's like, don't ever forget what you're trying to build too, right? So if you provide a certain service and what you're offering, then don't ever forget how you were on that first one. And it's funny, like, listen, if anything, put the phone down, or maybe keep your phone and then just sit there and scroll back. And I just did this recently. Scroll way back to the beginning. Like, everyone's got thousands of posts that they put out there, and scroll back to the beginning and remember the jobs that built your brand, right? And then remember the memories associated with that brand and that job that you built, because you've forgotten those. And
Where you
that's why
came
you
from.
need to just stay focused on what it took to get those. You're not doing the exact same thing to ones today. And
Yeah.
that's why you're not moving forward.
And on the
That's
last
why.
note of this 2025 topic, Costa,
Is this
you
your
know,
last show of the year? No.
yeah.
It
Is
is?
it? No, we'll bang up another one. No.
Okay, you want to bang up another one? We'll do it. No
There's still
problem.
time.
No
Yeah.
problem.
See, John.
No problem. No problem. Just on the last note of this 2025, you know, for anybody listening, it's I say this to a lot of guys, and getting back to like what you were saying, Manny, and you too, Costa. It's a lot of guys, they want a facade, right? And they don't know how to reverse engineer what they built, right? Just like you saying, Manny, go back to the beginning, right? And it's like, I was just saying this to somebody. It's like, listen, man, even if you built a company and you're doing $100 million a year, right? Obviously, that's a huge company. You're bringing in big money. Obviously, there's a lot of things associated with that. But if it's costing you $102 million a year, then I'm sorry, you failed. You see what I'm
failed.
saying?
That's a shit business.
I would rather be doing 100,000 a year and making 50 grand out of that 100,000 than have $100 million a year business and it's costing me 102 million, right? So let that sink in, because a lot of people, they want to grow, they want to do this, they want to do that. But what are those steps? Again, getting back to crawling before you can walk before you can run. You know what I mean? Understanding that at every building stage, and don't get me wrong, you're gonna have some times that you fail. You're gonna have some times that
Lessons learned.
Yeah, that you may have overextended yourself. Okay, I just hired another 5 guys. When it's like, did you need 5 guys, or could you have gotten away with 3? Right? Because you might have been busy right now, but in 2 months when this job's done, if you weren't out there, making sure that you have the jobs for these guys to keep going, and the money that comes in that's associated with this overhead, it's going to eat you very fast. You know what I mean? So again, understanding how to scale your business, scaling it slowly. Remember, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. You know what I mean? That's what I want everybody to take away and go into 2026 with. Because I tell you, Manny, and I know you believe me, and Costa, we talk about this all the time, I want to see everybody succeeding. You know what I mean? I want to see everybody that's true, that loves what they do, that has a passion. I want to see them succeeding. I don't want to see them coming into this game and getting chewed up and spit out.
That's going to happen.
It's going to
If you can
happen.
get out of it.
That's what I'm saying. Just understand that there's levels to this. You know what I mean? And I look at these massive companies sometimes too. People think we're a big size company. It's like, buddy, you don't know what a big size company is. You know what I mean? And when I look at those big size companies, I can't even begin to understand how that operation runs in order to make money. So that's why you have to go through those levels to get there. You know what I mean? Some people might not want to go there, right? But just again, understanding your business, understanding, especially in construction, cash flow is everything. So knowing how to make sure you're running lean, and as you scale, you're scaling with the proper tools, but keeping your overhead in mind.
Yeah.
That keep in mind, though, I just want to say that, listen, I'm not saying that you young people should shut the fuck up and just do the job. I'm not. I've always said it could be your first, it could be your last day on site. An idea is an idea. But if you present an idea that you're trying to get something done faster and it doesn't work, or we know that it won't work, and someone tells you that they've already tried it that way and it didn't work, and they say, listen, we've done it, it didn't work, now accept that, and don't try to prove it's not. That's, you're reverting back to egos at that point. I'm always about embracing new ideas and getting new flow and getting people to share, and then try to build more efficiencies that way. But if it's been proven already that it doesn't work, then move on, man. Move on to the next one, refine that idea, and then come back with it, right?
Yeah. Last topic here, just around the horn, about like some predictions for 2026. Manny, I know you kind of touched on what you think 2026 going into 2027, but I feel like you kind of changed your tune a bit compared to last
The
show.
last time.
So why
I'm
are
being
you a bit more
optimistic.
optimistic? Yeah, coming in.
Maybe I'm just like, I'm trying to fucking get the feelers out there. Maybe I'm just trying to, like, maybe I want to see a double fucking rainbow. I don't know. Maybe I just want to have some positivity, because Canada's a shit show. It's like, you can get political and you can talk about, listen, and that goes back to, we can blame everything. You can fucking, human beings are great at blaming everything. But if you leave human beings alone, they will fucking figure it out. So if you feel that you want to start 2026 optimistically, then do it. And whatever version of that optimism is, do it. I always say, listen, if you've got some hunger and you got an idea and you want to try something, do it. It's as simple as that. And then you never know. Your January, February, your March might be good. And then if you could help out other tradespeople that are not maybe doing so well, do it. I think right now, 2026, I'm being optimistic because I want to see more brother and sisterhood. I want to see people reaching out going, you good? Like, everything good? What's going on? Are you having a shit? Are you making it like hard, or what's going on, right? Well, I got this. I got that. Do you want to maybe get together and give me a hand, or offer a date? Whatever. Just like, bring the coffees and I'll pay you for the day. Come out. Like, I want to see helping hands extended, and that will create optimism in the industry. That's what I'm trying to visualize for 2026. And I think we have the power to do that as
Well,
a
listen.
construction industry.
Well, listen, man. If I can say anything to you, Manny, and I say it to you all the time, we speak quite often, right?
Yeah.
That's the community you built, right? So
I'm a part of.
No, I know you're a part of it, but like, truthfully, without blowing, smoke up your ass, but the reality is, man, is that's the community you built. You built a community of people that truly come together. They want to help each other out. And that's why, I know you said at the beginning of this, 2026 will be your last. And I know that it's going to be, the hamster wheel is spinning, but just don't ever forget the community you built and how people do come together. So, hopefully that will extend.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Your end of 2026. Hopefully it'll be, even if it's once a month or whatever, keep a community.
It's the end, but it's not the end. That's how I'm looking at it. It's the end of me doing TCL and doing shows and recording the standard format. Is it the end of me talking about construction? No fucking way. I've got the next 50 years of me doing ideas that are construction relevant, because I respect construction. Doesn't matter if you're an asshole. Doesn't matter if you said choice words about me. I don't give a shit. I still respect construction. You could be talking all kinds of shit about me. I don't care. I still respect construction. I respect tradespeople. I respect people that swing a hammer that are freezing cold right now, still walking around with toques and bundling up. And their nutsack is just like squeezed like tiny like this. They're just trying to stay warm. I respect all of that shit. I respect the jokes coming out of the porta potties. I will always have a massive amount of respect for the construction, anybody who does good, bad, ugly, amazing work. I still respect it, because the bad can be better and the good could be taught and the amazing could be shared. That's how I fucking look at it, right? So that's the one industry that I think construction can be. So that's why I'm hopeful that extend the fucking hand and reach out to somebody, help them out, or offer your help or whatever, right? I think that's important to do that. So it's my end, but it's not my end, right? Because I've got other things that are going to be going on. And then I'm enjoying it too, right? Because I get excited about planting a seed. Like, I get truly excited about, I've got this stupid idea. You know what I mean? And then I just want to throw it at you. And then I want to get your 2 cents about it. And then all of a sudden, what if that stupid idea actually happens? That's the beginning of my construction career, where I had so many stupid ideas to build, and I built it. And then people asked me, how did you build it? And I was like, well, that's how I did it. This is how I figured it out. And now, like I said at the beginning, I could be standing there going, watch this, man, A, B, C, this is all going to unfold. I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that's the experience, right? So I appreciate the kind words, man, but I'm a part of it. You guys are doing great. Everybody, we need more of this shit. In the beginning days when I was doing my show, fuck, it's coming up on 8 years, dude. March will be 8 years. March St. Patty's will be 8 years of construction life, right? Like in the beginning, everyone kept on asking me, should I start one? I was like, yes. I never said no to a single person. I go, listen, if you want to use mine, by all means come in. If you want to use my gear, by all means use it. I was always offering it because I wanted more people to have a voice to share more insight. I'm not an expert in everything. No, I'm the first one to prove that I'm not an expert on everything, but I know a little bit about everything and enough to be dangerous, right?
Yeah. Well said.
So
Well
good on
said.
you guys for 50. That's amazing milestone. Honestly, it is, man.
Thank
It's
you, man.
amazing. You
Appreciate
guys
it,
can be
man.
proud. Sorry that we missed fucking Charlie. I know there's shit
I
going
know.
on. So
John,
Yeah.
quickly, any predictions on your end, 2026?
2026, I would say predictions. Let's stay optimistic. I like it. Let's stay optimistic. Let's stay on top of our game. Let's
What's the
control.
alternative, man?
Yeah, let's control what we can control. Let's control what's in front of us. And again, Costa, like we talk about this all the time. I love this saying. It's like, man, there's no plan Bs. You know what I mean? You got plan A and you have to see it through. There's going to be doors that are shut in your face. For everybody listening, just fucking keep plowing, man. Keep going. If it was easy, anybody would be doing it, right? Just for you to take the leap to start a business, right? Like that's more
paramount.
that's more than halfway there, right? The other half is just figuring out how to navigate it, right? So I would just say going into 2026, it's exactly what I went into the 2025, because as many people might think the beginning of 2025 was good, for our industry was fucking horrible, right? And I kept looking around and I was like, holy shit. But again, if you have that mentality, getting back to what you said, Costa, the mind is very strong. Is you got to just control with what's in front of you, and if you can put it in your head that there is no plan Bs and just keep pushing ahead, good things will happen.
Well
Good.
said.
What are your thoughts, Costa? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, look, obviously, optimistic, no plan Bs. I get that. For me, like, thinking about the economy, I think we're going to continue just seeing like a steady decline in our economy. Like you said, Manny, there's nothing really optimistic about Canada in terms of where we're heading. Personally, I still think people are still feeling the impacts of inflation. Like there aren't too many people I know in the last couple of years that are really like have gone ahead or like getting ahead
No,
in any
nobody has.
meaningful way. They're kind of just like staying afloat. So I think there's still a lot of that like uncertainty and inflation actually eating away at people from the underbelly right now, which is one of these things that I don't think is reported or talked about a lot. So I think 2026 is just going to be a lot of that, just people still in that survival mode, staying afloat and, but coming back. Like I think you gotta survive right now. There's no plan Bs. You gotta get lean. You gotta survive.
But there's opportunity.
Of course,
There
there's
is
always
opportunity.
opportunity. There will
Yeah.
always be opportunity in any economy.
Where one
Like
door
I'm
shuts,
saying.
another one opens. You know what I mean? So
History has taught us that everybody
that's
starts to excel during these lean years
that's what I'm
100%.
because
saying.
they figure out how to do
Yeah.
that, right? So
If you
just
get
figure
through
it
this,
out.
100%.
Yeah. And on a
Very
last
good.
note, I know we got to wrap up. On a last note, Manny, what does TCL, what does Manny have in store for 2026? Instead of talking about just the economy and what you have to say to other people, I don't know if you wanna share anything with the audience. If it's something that like, do you have anything coming up? Anything that
Yeah, it's looking pretty good that the road trip will happen. It's looking pretty good. And I'll be honest with you, less than 2, 3 weeks ago, it was fucking looking horrible. It was absolutely looking horrible. But then all of a sudden, one phone call turned into a voice or a video meeting, turned into another video meeting. And then I was just curious about our team being on that call with their team. And I was paying attention to a certain word that was being expressed repeatedly in different calls. And I was like, I think something's here. And that's where the optimism came from me, where I started thinking, okay, well, hang on a sec. So I got to see how the rest of January is going to fold out, but it's looking pretty good. And then, I've already had conversations with the team, and I don't have a massive team. It's not the baseball team or anything like that. It's eight people, right? It's eight people. That's the fucking team, right? And all of a sudden, I just started having conversations with it, going, listen, this might actually happen, man. Like, are you guys ready to do this? Like, half the team is in our 50s, the other half are in their 20s and 30s, and I'm like, is this even fucking possible for the old guys? And trying to figure that shit out. And everybody was like, yeah, let's do this. So the road trip might happen. I mean, I'm trying to push it red and true, TCL across Canada. And it's a personal mission of mine. And that would be the nice little kind of send off to TCL, right? So let's see what happens. I mean, I've got January and I got February. And if we can get a green light by the time the snow starts to melt, I'd be a happy camper, right?
Is there anything for our listeners, any way that they can learn more or try to help or
not yet, right? Because not yet, not until we launch it. So it's like right now everything's just staying internal, and then once I get enough ducks in a row and I hit a certain milestone, then I'll be like, guys, we're pulling the trigger here. It's going green light. Let's go. And then we'll announce it at that point, right?
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Okay.
Very exciting, man.
One of the hands there, one of the wheels, one of the ideas. There's always another idea. I've always learned that back in my film days, back in my construction days. There's always another idea. If you run out of ideas, then it's time for you to be in a box. I'm not interested in being in a box yet, right? So
yeah,
that's
crazy what you said though, because I said this the other day. Like one phone call can literally change your life.
But the same way, it's the other way around too. One phone call can change your life in a negative way. So it's like you get enough of those negative calls and those negative experiences, you're like, start doubting yourself. Is this really a good idea? Is this really worth it? And as cliche as you want to make it sound, you just got to keep on pushing forward. So it's
no
like
plan Bs.
It's it's reassuring to hear from the team going, well, Manny, you're the one that keeps on fucking pushing this shit forward. And I was like, what else are you going to do?
Well, you know what? And that no better way to wrap this up too, because it's like, look at what you just said, right? And look, we've had many discussions before, and I've seen your ups and downs on this passion project that you're doing, and it's everything we just talked about, right? No plan Bs. Once a door gets slammed in your face, sure, 5 might slam in your face before one opens up. But I'm telling you, you keep fucking, knocking on those doors. Eventually, that one phone call, even though you've had 5 bad phone calls that can change your life as well, that one phone call can also turn it around, right? So
I'll share this one little thing that happened this week, which caught me off guard, but then it was a testament to who I've become. So I had a brand that I was talking to, sent a pitch, had a brief conversation, reviewed it, asked me to call back at a later date. I call back that same date. I speak to them. And then obviously you start the conversation by saying, okay, have you had a time? I know it's a holiday season to review things. And then they started saying, yeah, we have, and it's not going to be a good fit. Right. And so I could have easily just said, okay, well, there's another rejection. Thank you for your time and move on. But for whatever stupid reason, you know what I started doing? I actually started to say the whole pitch again. I said, I don't understand why you guys are not interested in being a part of this. This is what we're going to do. Here are all the milestones we're going to achieve. And then all of a sudden through the conversation, they interrupted me and they're going, oh, you're Manny from the TCL. No, we're rejecting another idea. We don't want to reject yours. And all of a sudden it became a positive. Like it was, the emotions were completely flipped right then and there. But I could have been on that call, accepted the rejection, and then all of a sudden said, thank you for your time and move on. And no, it's still being reviewed. So we're still in the game. We're still being a potential opportunity. But that's where you look at it and go, okay, so fine. She said no, but I didn't take no.
Don't take no for an answer.
Wow.
No,
it was as simple as that.
Yeah.
And then I feel confident that they might say yes. And if they say yes, then I'm one more step closer. And then we move on. And then you just, right now, the analogy that's going between the team is dominoes, right? And then you get some guys going, I've never played dominoes. So I go, well, you never hung out with the Jamaicans in the cafe at school. You know, if you hung out with the Jamaicans in the cafe at school, then you played all kinds of dominoes,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And how
100%.
loud they get slapped on the table, right? And then the teacher comes by, he goes, guys, can you just not slap the table anymore?
Well, that like honestly, again, perfect story. You know, at the end of this whole conversation, because you know that's how you got to stay optimistic. That's how you got to stay consistent. No plan Bs. You're gonna get doors slammed in your face. Just keep at it. And look, that's a perfect testament, right? You know, we can go story after story, but look, that just happened, and I can see it in you too, right? Like Manny, if
Yeah.
I could be upfront with you, I could see it in you. You know, you've had that. You've had some lumps. Let's just say you've taken some lumps in the last couple months, especially with what you're trying to do, and you know, you could see it, right? Like that one phone call, it can change everything around, right? So for anybody listening, guys, I hope you guys took this away in a positive note, and you know, we want nothing but the best in 2026.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having
Manny,
me back on the show.
appreciate it, man.
Always a
Thank you
pleasure
so
talking
much.
to you guys. Yeah.
Always a pleasure. And yeah, thank you all for listening. If you got this far, make sure you hit subscribe on wherever you're listening to this podcast. And if you're a construction company, have a trades company, tired of paying for complicated software or overpaying for complicated software, check out jobtable.com, sign up for a free trial, and start your 2026 efficiently. We'll wrap it there. Manny, thanks again, man.
Thanks,
Always
guys.
a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
You're
Man.
the best, Manny. Thank you.
Take care,
brother.
guys. Thank you
Take
very much.
care. Bye.
Ciao.